Good afternoon, fellow immigrants. Buenos dias, fellow immigrants. After the earthquake in Haiti 2 months ago, thousands of Haitians went down to the Port-au-Prince airport to find help.
Después del terremoto en Haití, miles de personas en Haití fueron al aeropuerto para buscar ayuda.
Many of them had lost family members or had been freed from the wreckage, and they were hopeful that they would find some safety somewhere. When they arrived at the airport, the Marines herded them onto airplanes, and they thought, we're going to safety.
Muchos de ellos habían perdido familia y unos de ellos fueron al aeropuerto y los marinos de los Estados Unidos los dejaron entrar en el avión donde pensaban que iban a encontrar seguridad.
When they arrived in the United States, most of them were swiftly detained because they didn't have the right visa. Imagine. Some stayed detained for 2 months.
Pero cuando llegaron aquí a los Estados Unidos, la gran mayoría fueron detenidos porque no tenían visa. Imagínense, algunos han estado detenidos por 2 meses.
Our current immigration system places more value on filling out forms properly than it does on compassion and common sense. We have to change that.
Nuestro sistema de inmigración en este momento le pone más énfasis a llenar algunos formularios bien en lugar de hacer sentido común. Tenemos que cambiar eso.
Government is sending a message that ripping apart a family is just fine if mom and dad don't do the right paperwork exactly as they should, or because they weren't able to figure out how to navigate our immigration system.
Nuestro gobierno le está haciendo un mensaje que está bien dividir familias porque el papá o la mamá no llenó algún formulario bien.
And I think, at least from my point, one of the most frustrating parts of this debate is the fact that in Congress we talk about immigration reform as though some kind of abstract idea, and we forget that we're talking about children and families who are struggling to survive.
Yo creo que lo que es más frustrante de todo este debate en el Congreso es que la gente piensa que la reforma migratoria se acerca a algo abstracto y se olvida de que estamos hablando de familias y de personas.
The opponents of reform hide, in my view, behind a thin veil of racism and xenophobia and have focused the debate solely on immigrants that come into the United States from the South.
Y los que están opuestos a la reforma migratoria han hecho algo que le parece que es de racista y xenofóbico y han enfocado en los inmigrantes que vienen del sur de Estados Unidos.
But if you look around this audience, immigrants come from all over the world. My family came in 1850 and in 1760. They came for the same reasons that people here in this audience are here.
That's right! Pero es importante que nos recordemos que los inmigrantes han venido de todo el mundo. Mis propios ancestros vinieron de otros países en los 1800.
When they get here, they face huge challenges. One of the clearest examples of the need for reform, because we've got to think of it in terms of human beings, not in sort of some abstract law or some paper that people fill out, but ordinary human beings. And the story of Alonzo Chahade, who is a 20-year-old student from Washington University, is a graduate of Washington, is a perfect example.
Y uno de los más claros ejemplos, porque la gente tiene muchos problemas cuando llega aquí, y uno de los más claros ejemplos es el ejemplo de Alonzo Chehade, que es un estudiante de 22 años aquí de la Universidad de Washington.
Alonzo was raised in the United States. He arrived in the United States as a child with his family from Peru.
Alonso se crió aquí en los Estados Unidos, llegó a muy temprana edad a los Estados Unidos desde Perú.
He grew up in the United States. He put himself through college by running his own business, and he knows the United States is his only home.
Él se crió aquí en los Estados Unidos, se puso a poder pasar por la universidad a través de su propio especialismo y él sabe que esta es la única casa que ha tenido.
One weekend, he and some of his friends were traveling up north, and they made a wrong turn, and they wound up in Canada.
Un fin de semana estaba con algunos de sus amigos en el norte del estado y tomaron un turno equivocado y resultaron en la frontera con Canadá.
Despite having lived his whole adult life since he was a teenager in the United States, he now faces deportation on a daily basis.
Y aún que ha vivido aquí en Estados Unidos casi toda su vida, está enfrentando el prospecto de la deportación.
He's not alone. There are countless others just like him who face severe punishment for a decision that was not theirs to make. Nobody told a 13-year-old kid, when you get to be 18, you have to make a declaration that you want to be an American citizen. That wasn't told to him. And today he's fighting to remain in this country because of the complexity of our system.
Y él no es el único, hay muchos como él que están en la misma situación. Ellos no tomaron una decisión, nadie le preguntó que cuando cumpliera 18 años tenía que hacer una declaración. Él no es único.
This is what this immigration fight is all about, is bringing justice for people like Alonso.
Esto es lo que es la reforma migratoria, para darle justicia a personas como Alonso.
I recently read a story about a woman. I get cases in my office all the time, and the woman in my office who does all the cases is down here in front taking pictures. Rita, many of you have talked to Rita over the months. But this is a story about a woman named Judy. She's an American citizen, and her British partner, Karen. Judy and Karen have been forced to live apart from each other because Karen is not allowed to stay in the United States for more than 6 months at a time, since the United States doesn't recognize same-sex relationships in the same way they do opposite-sex relationships.
Bueno, y él quiere contarles una historia de alguien en mi oficina que recibió la historia de una persona que se llama Judy. Y Judy tiene que estar separado de la pareja Karen porque los Estados Unidos no reconoce las relaciones del mismo sexo de la misma manera que reconoce las relaciones del sexo opuesto.
In order to get Karen into the United States for even a limited amount of time, Judy was forced to take early retirement and reduce her pension because of the complex ways our immigration laws work. They're set up to keep people out.
Para poder que la pareja Karen pudiera venir a los Estados Unidos, tuvo que hacer muchos sacrificios, Judy, porque las leyes de inmigración están hechas para mantener a la gente dividida.
Now, immigration reform is long overdue. And I pray
la reforma migratoria ya se debió haber pasado mucho antes.
And I pray that the next issue that's on our agenda in Washington, D.C. is immigration reform. You've watched us spend enormous effort and energy to get a health care bill through.
Y yo creo que la próxima cosa que tenemos que hacer en Washington D.C. es la reforma migratoria. Ya hemos visto lo que ha pasado con la reforma de la salud.
We need a law that does, number one, it's just and compassionate and it has common sense that focuses on keeping families together and quickly unifying them when they are separated.
Necesitamos una ley de inmigración que nos va a ayudar a mantener a las familias unidas y que tiene sentido común.
We have to create a path to citizenship for millions of hardworking, undocumented workers in this country, many of whom do low-paying but very critical critical work in our society. We need them.
Tenemos que darle una oportunidad a la ciudadanía, a los millones de personas que están trabajando aquí sin documentos. Ellos hacen trabajo que es difícil, de bajo pago, pero que es muy importante. Los necesitamos.
Besides a clear pathway to citizenship, we have to stop using ICE to break unions and deny working people their rights to justice.
Y además de eso, necesitamos dejar que las autoridades de inmigración estén acabando con los sindicatos, con las uniones.
And finally, the thing that I think is necessary, and many of you have had this experience or know about it, we have to be sure that there is justice in the immigration proceedings. We have to be sure that immigrants have good legal advice and that judges have discretion to make decisions from the bench. Necesitamos que los inmigrantes, la gente que está pasando por el proceso de deportación tenga buen aviso, buena manera de aprender sus derechos y que los jueces de inmigración tengan manera de discreción para darle la oportunidad aquí a Estados Unidos. Now, there's nobody here who doesn't understand this is going to be a tough battle. We spent a year and a half fighting for health care, and everybody said it couldn't be done. You'll hear people say the same thing about immigration reform. It's too tough, we can't get it through. But America was built by immigrants, and we need to have a reasonable system.
La gente dice que y si va a ser una batalla difícil, pero la gente dijo lo mismo de la reforma de salud que dicen de la reforma de inmigración, que no se puede hacer, pero tenemos que hacerla porque este país fue establecido por inmigrantes.
I'll do what I can. The president has told us that two classes of citizens in this country is not just, and he's absolutely right. We all should be judged by the same standards, and it's unfair and indefensible to deny opportunity to those who work, play by the rules, and honor their country as though it was their own.
El presidente nos ha dicho que no debe haber dos clases de ciudadanos y yo creo que es correcto que todos debemos estar juzgados por lo que hacemos como personas humanos y con todas las oportunidades.
Now I want to close with a quote from the Bible, because there's a lot of people who talk about, they believe in God and they believe in all this and they believe in Christianity and so forth, but the way this immigration system works, you wonder if they ever read the Bible.
Bueno, y quiero terminar para darles un pedazo de la Biblia que habla de este tema. Y es interesante porque mucha gente que habla de este tema parece que nunca han leído la Biblia.
In the 5th book of the Bible, it's called Deuteronomy, it says, "When the alien resides with you in your land, you shall not oppress the alien."
Dice la Biblia que cuando el extranjero está en tu tierra, tú no debes oprimir al extranjero.
And it goes on to say, "The alien who resides with you shall be to you as a citizen among you. You shall love the alien as yourself."
Y el extranjero que vive contigo va a ser como, el extranjero que vive con usted va a ser como el ciudadano de ustedes. Tiene que amarlo como al ciudadano mismo.
I'll go back on Tuesday to Washington, D.C. to stand with you if you'll stand with us.